Misha, yay! I'm so glad you could be with me today.
Gretchen, yay. Me too. I use yay a lot, and I don't know if it's because of you or because of just who I am, but everybody knows me as yay. So I'm glad you
Well,
started out with that.
one of the things that I notice about people who are attracted into my anti-boring world is they tend to mirror some qualities that I have and expand on them as well, which is one reason why I love you licensed anti-boring coaches, because you come in embracing the toolkit and then you bring your own special sauce as well. So I hope people will get a sense of your special sauce as we go through this today. But I'm celebrating right now all of the amazing educators in my community and wanting to have you share your journeys with folks who are out there in the world, as well as show off what makes you a unique academic coach for students. So we'll get there towards the end, but I thought it would be helpful for you to paint a little picture about where were you in your life and your career when you first reached out to me to join my Rock Your Biz training. I think that's where you
hmm
started, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, no, actually, I actually started with the Art of Inspiring Students
You took that
course.
first, right?
Yeah, because I was trying to figure out how I could support my students as a teacher. I've been a middle school, high school, community college teacher, and well, even university, teaching French and Spanish, also life skills.
Mhm.
And I was contemplating making a shift into self-employment, but there were some personal things going on that didn't happen. And then I had to go on disability. I had been diagnosed previous to the Art of Inspiring Students. I had been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and so work was getting a lot more difficult.
Mhm.
And then there were other things that took place, including the loss of my mother due to cancer. Um, and so when I came to you, it was originally kind of a thought of like, you know what, I'll see if this works with my students. I'd like to make things a little bit more exciting for them and less boring, for lack of better words. um, and then I was just enjoying witnessing you and what you would say about your other coaches. And I went to your website and I'm like, trained coach. And at the same time, my sister said, sis, you've been kind of unhappy with your school district job. I'm like, well, I've been kind of unhappy with my school district. I don't know about my school district job, but and she said, I think you'd really make a great coach. And then I saw your Launch Your Biz or Rock Your Biz program, and I was like, sure, give it a shot. So I started that, and what I really loved about the training that captivated me, and you even just said it at the beginning here, was you know, just start by reading the script, read the script, and then add the more familiar you are with it, you can add your own special sauce. And what I loved about that is that it allowed me to learn the material and feel really comfortable and then flex it and change it and adapt it to me as opposed to trying to do it the other way around. Because, and then I would notice that when I got into trainings or breakout rooms with other coaches, it was like I would be able to tell them, just read it. It's all right there. You don't have to do anything. Gretchen's really done it all for us. And then the more you know that, you can add your. So I was like mimicking you. I'm like going, I'm Gretchen lookalike. But that really kind of made it feel like, oh, based on my own experience working with kids and this wonderful tool that you've created, I can do this. I can be a life coach and I can do it with academics. It's not my favorite subject, academics, but I realized that it was really important. So, fast forward a little bit, I ended up taking a break and I did some traveling. I was on disability because I could not, my doctor was like, you can't be a classroom teacher anymore. And that was heartbreaking. So part of my healing was to go onto some travel and to go a few places and do my music.
Okay,
And then
I
I
was
came back.
waiting for you to bring up your music because I didn't
Yeah.
want you to hide that. You were literally traveling around the world singing, right?
Well, around the world. I mean, I went to Europe to see some friends. I was in Bulgaria. I did a 3-week road trip in the United States and in little places I sang. Like I didn't get like these public gigs. I wasn't asking for public gigs, but yes, I sang in front of people in different countries.
Good, you
But
practiced. singing.
I yes, I
And
mean
you
I love
travel.
singing.
Yeah.
I'm a singer-songwriter. It is a big part of who I am. I mean, obviously, you've got the guitars in the background, ukulele, you've got the teddy bears in the background. I'm playful. Uh, so, um, but when I came back, my district wasn't willing to work with me around what I needed for my disability. And so, with the support of family and friends, it's like, okay, build your business. And so the pandemic hit, and I offered free coaching to a couple of students. And then one of them said, well, we want to keep you for next year. I'm like, oh, okay, that's exciting. And I quit my job. And now I have a nice load of students, kids I love very much. I'm even in their families. It's 2 years later. I've had some for the full 2 years, and I've had some just for the last 6 months or year. And it's wonderful. And the biggest piece, though, I have to say, is that I don't think I've ever had a community of people that have held me up and helped me shine like the community you've created. I mean, I've been in another business coaching cohort, and that cohort and your cohort, I feel like have really fed the piece of me that wasn't getting fed for so many years. I loved my students. I loved teaching, but the uppers didn't always nurture and nourish and pass forward, kind of what I needed to continue doing what I was doing to be of service for the kids. And also now as a queer, I identify as queer. And so I'm in a loving partnership with a woman. And so some of my students who are also LGBTQ, really that is a really important piece for them. And I get to make my own hours. I can work with people who are on the East Coast, West Coast, Mid Coast, well, Midwest, that's what it's called. I don't teach geography. Okay. In fact, I don't teach subjects. I help students figure out their lives so they feel socially, psychologically prepared and their well-being is at stake here. We help them out. I help them organize, but I don't teach them math or or geography. Yeah, so I guess I really want to just kind of put out there that's where I was, and being able to kind of say, okay, there's something else I know how to do besides teach, which is to listen, to connect, to identify what things are needing to be worked on, to communicate through my coaching with the students. I've now actually been doing parenting coaching. In fact, I have one family I was working with their kid, but it was like, no, I think you guys need my support. And they were loving and wonderful. Like, we think we do too. They're divorced parents, and so I worked with them. I worked with the mothers. And so
Well,
it's
and
kind of
you
branched.
yourself are a parent.
I am. I've raised 5 kids.
So I want to name that because there are, I'm sure people watching this video. In fact, I just talked to somebody earlier today who was like, I don't have an academic background. I don't know. Can I still
Oh,
do
you don't need an academic background. You don't.
Yeah, there's lots
In
of
fact,
things that qualify us. And sometimes being a parent and going
yes,
through the process of parenting, five, that in
yes.
and of itself can qualifies you if you come into it with being the mindful person you are. Um,
Yes. Well, and the other thing is almost everybody that probably comes to you has finished high school. They've
yeah,
been a student.
yes,
They know what it's like to be a student. They know what the school system is like,
yes.
right? So, no, you don't need an academic background to be a coach. You need a good heart. You need to know that a student needs you in the moment they need you. And sometimes they don't want you there, but they'd rather have you nag them than their own parents. So I mean, really, if you've got that, you can be an academic life coach. It's not about credentials. It really isn't. Yeah, sure, I have a master's. Yeah, sure, I have life coaching certification. But there are coaches in this cohort and beyond. That's not what it's all about. In fact, I've never had a parent ask me for my certification. I've
Right,
never even asked a parent ask me if I have a master's degree. In
right.
fact, nobody's even asked me if I have a bachelor's degree. In fact, they haven't even asked me if I've graduated high school. Maybe it's assumed, I don't know, but I think it's more about, and there's another coach in our cohort that is always reminding me of this. It's more about what hole can we fill for your student
Mhm.
so that they can feel socially, academically, and psychologically successful and resilient,
Yeah.
right? It's not, and I will say, I'm more of a grade aware coach than I am a grade focused coach.
Mhm.
Some coaches are more grade focused, and that's fine. But I think it's about identifying where is your heart and what kind of difference do you want to make? And
Yeah.
then identifying which kids you want to work with. Like we were talking before this interview, and I was like, originally I thought I want just middle schoolers. And then I wasn't getting a lot of clients. And I thought, well, I can work with everybody. I love working with everybody. I mean, I have high schoolers, college students, younger kids, fifth grade through who knows, geriatrics. I'm like, I've got so much experience with different people. But there's something about middle schoolers that's young and quirky and curious, and they're willing to try it out. And it's a really great age to start implementing the organizational tools, whether you have ADHD, dysgraphia, ADD, dyslexia, whatever it is, the executive function skills, the more they can practice at a younger age, the stronger they'll be for high school and potentially college if that's where they want to go. And so I love the sponges that middle schoolers have. I have high schoolers with sponges too, that are sponges, right? But so I think that that's the neat part about this career, is that anybody coming into it can choose, what kind of kids do you love, or adults. I mean, we have people in the community that love working with college students.
Mhm.
I do too. And I also really adore my middle schoolers.
I think it's
They're more likely to wiggle with me.
I know. Shall we wiggle right now? I'll wiggle with you.
Got to make the noise. Good.
There you go. I think, oh shoot, I was like three things I was gonna say, and then they all wiggled right out of me. One thing that, so I have a list of subject headings for emails I might write, and one of them says bad advice. You need to figure out your niche soon, right away. And what I love about what you're saying is, yes, I do think eventually as we grow into our businesses, it's a natural process to notice who do we work best with, who lights us up, who do we super serve, and we can get more and more focused on that as we stay in our businesses. But I personally, in the business trainings or the marketing training that I did, I saw way too much time spent too early on in people's business trying to get them to nail down exactly who they serve. And I find a lot of people coming into academic coaching are often mid-career or later career folks who are ready to have deep connections with students, but not have to deal with all the institutional stuff that schools have to deal with. And they don't know exactly yet. They need to try out coaching for a while. And it seems like that was part of your process, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I didn't even really know that I loved parenting coaching until I started working with kids. So I mean, there's so many different areas people can go in, and I'm not suggesting that you have 5 or 6 different areas like I do. It can be a little bit overwhelming for marketing purposes, but no, I feel like it's, one student at a time, or one family at a time, you start to identify what really resonates and feels good to you.
Yeah.
Right. And I can't say I had anybody I didn't like working with, but there's some that light me up more than others, some that are, and I'm a very playful person. So I do really well with kids that like to play, or who like to tell jokes. And I like to add in a little bit of time, either at the beginning or the end of a session, where we get to share something that's playful. So I don't feel like it's the greatest idea to niche down right away. In fact, I think that's kind of like, it's the way college is set up. In college, freshman and sophomore year, you do your general ed requirements. General ed requirements are inspire this notion of, let's get an eclectic array of things that you potentially could be interested in to then declare a major. And those are the classes you really focus on junior and senior year of college. So it's the same thing with this career, where I get to decide, I'm going to work with some 5th graders and some 7th graders and some 8th graders and some high school and then college or whatever it is. And then it's like I get to kind of go, oh yeah, I think I want to go this way. But I'm not there yet. I mean, I'm not saying no. As long as it's somebody who's wanting to work with me and they're excited and they are engaged and they are still open to being coachable and stretching, I'm good with all ages. I work with, I have lots of different coaching besides academic life coaching. I do relationship coaching or whatever it is, but I think that this is is that a word, misnomer? To think that you have to niche down. Yeah.
And you are, I think, the quintessential, what I would say, multi-passionate-preneur. I know that brings its own stresses with it that we talk about inside the Rock Your Biz
Yeah.
personal brand. So I know that. Um, but and I know you are wanting to narrow and focus a little bit, but I think you always will have a few different, like you will probably always have your relationship coaching for queer folks side of
Yeah.
your business, right? That just feeds you.
Yes. Yeah.
So let's
Yeah.
talk your special sauce in regards to
Hmm.
academic coaching, because one of the things that I both adore about my work, my role, I should say, as the leader mentor of this anti-boring world, I adore about it, but it's also a little emotionally tricky for me, is that so many freaking talented people come in who are so good at what they do, who build on and add to what I've created in these gorgeous ways, that then I can be like, oh dear, they're better than me. I shouldn't be doing this. Oh no. And I can have those voices in my head.
Hmm.
I work on those with myself just as I work on them with you all. But you are someone who uses a number of tools in your coaching sessions that I'm like, oh, in my ideal world, I would use all those tools too. Misha's so good at this. And so
Ooh, really?
yeah.
Uh-oh.
So, and it's a lot of, I'll let you say more, but it's the pieces around social emotional. It is the affirmations. It is
Right.
the mindset and self-talk work that you do with students. I think you are
Yeah.
extraordinarily skilled at, and I know that's the part that lights you up more than
Yeah.
the grades and the academics. So will you say a little bit about how you use all of that in your sessions?
Yeah, yeah, thank you. I almost forgot about that. And I guess I didn't especially identify it as unique, but I guess maybe it is. So, well, I think something you taught me, which is that I start every session with, what are three things that have gone well? What can we celebrate? What can we be excited about? Or if you're not excited about it, at least what, didn't go terrible, So I use an example to kind of get my kids talking, which is like, do you have a plastic toothbrush? Like, yeah. I said, well, did it break in shards when you were like brushing your teeth and shards go all over your gums? And they're like, ew, no. I'm like, oh, good. Then the day started off really well. So, and it's like giving them this opportunity to think about what could really go wrong, didn't. And so therefore, hey, what went well,
Yes.
And so like giving them that opportunity to identify not just school wise, but socially, like family, like what's going well in your life. So we can start with the positive. There's a neuroscience around positivity, right? And then the other thing I really, and I give them, we talk about in your program consent. Same thing in relationship coaching. We ask people, would you like to hear this idea? What are you thinking about this? So I ask them, I tell them the benefits of gratitude. Would you like to try that? Would you like to send me a text message every day with 3 gratitudes? Is this something, an area in which you think you can grow that would then help you? And so I have some students who send me their gratitude every day.
Aw.
I have another student now who's actually sending me 3 affirmations every morning. So she sends me her gratitude at night, and she sends me her affirmations in the morning of what she's going to focus on for her strengths as she walks into the day. And that's just been really beautiful. She blows me away. She's a junior in high school and just fantastic. Another thing that I really like to do with the kids is kind of I use the coaching side of things as opposed to the mentor teaching, because academic life coaching is a little tricky. We're coaches, but we're also teachers and mentors. We really have several different hats. So from the coaching perspective, they might share about what's going on for them, or they didn't do something. And rather than kind of labeling it right away or making assumptions, I ask them, well, what was behind that?
Yeah.
What's coming up for you when you're doing that? Where do you feel that in your body? And then with some of my students, I've done breathing exercises. They like that. I have another student that every session almost every session, we have the last 5 minutes and he shows me animal videos. He adores animals. This is the person, I've been with this person for 2.5 years. They are a senior in high school. They just got accepted to like 7 or 8 colleges and several scholarships. And he shows me orangutan videos. I mean, we get to watch the little baby orangutans like trying to cut open a coconut, and we just enjoy watching animals. He actually ended up getting an internship at the local zoo, so that was kind of cool. um, so it's what's really important, whether it's your special sauce or not, is to find a way to connect with the kids, find a way to have the conversations so that they can trust. But I also think one of the things that I do is that I'm really, really direct. I'm really honest with them. Not, I don't tell them my whole life story, but for example, when I even set up the relationship with a coaching situation, I let them know, I'm not a teacher anymore, and teachers are mandated reporters, but as a coach, I'm a mandated reporter. So if you're thinking of hurting yourself or someone else, I'm going to have to tell somebody, because I'd rather have an angry student than a dead student. Like, I'm really direct. And I tell the families that too. It's like, I'd rather know that you're alive and angry at me, for telling somebody, than losing you. And that's a real important piece to also gain their trust, because that is the only thing I will share. Otherwise, they have my full confidence. They can talk to me. I had another student who was talking about a crush that they had. I have another student that just got so excited that they told me that they have, they're in a relationship. And their parents know. So there's the things that they don't always tell. Well, the crush one doesn't. Their parents don't know. And then I had another student who is in a school system where one of their friends killed themselves. And so they've been really depressed. So you know what, folks? Sorry, parents, but we're not working on academics right now. This student has a therapist, but this student needs to have that present attention. And I really feel like that is so critical, that if they walk away with one thing from the 45 minutes, that they know they're loved and that they have a safe place to come.
Well, and I'll add to that as well, that yes, exactly what you said is wonderful. And there's another thing they get from having that conversation with an academic coach specifically, is they get to start understanding sometimes our brain is flooded with feelings. And when that happens, our executive functions don't work. And yet we try and make them work. And that just isn't going to happen. I had this very conversation with a student who was stressed out for a different reason yesterday. And so sometimes we get to negotiate our self-care. And if it's more self-caring for you to have a listening ear or settle in or let feelings move through you, then that's fine. In the case of my client, it was more self-caring to get started on work and to allow it to be slow and bumpy, because feelings were going to come in and she wasn't going to focus, but do that long enough until she felt like she got on a roll with focusing. And to have an opportunity to make that decision with an adult, and to know that this is a lifelong negotiation. And sometimes you don't have to choose the school and the grades and the.
Well, and I'm so glad you brought that up, because the thing that we did do together was, I said, what kind of support do you need? And he was able to process what was going on for him and what he needed. And so together, I supported him in writing an email to some of his teachers that was well constructed, his wording, basically saying, as you know, A, B, C, what are my options for support, and what kind of, senior year, I'm at the end of my semester, I can't focus. Do we have some options? And literally one of his teachers basically said, I'll freeze your grade right now.
Wow.
You can do the work if you want to. You don't have to do the work, but I know what a great student you've been all year. And your grade is what it is right now. And if that something changes, let me know, but take care of yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, and so for him to have for the self-advocacy, that's another thing that we do with our kids. And so when people come in and say, Gretchen, I don't know if I can be a coach in your program. I mean, if they know how to be a self-advocate, often we go into a career having to learn what we need to work on ourselves. So maybe they want to learn how to be a self-advocate.
Which
they need to learn it by teaching. Yeah. And they can teach other people how to do it until they have the strength to do it, right? So, but yeah, I think it's really a piece that I particularly care about when I'm working with students. And even when I was teaching in the classroom, while we would introduce, parents would get upset, like, you're not even opening the book yet? Like, no, I got to connect with your kids. Learning will happen so much better if we lower what we call the affective filter when learning languages, like get them into a place of buy-in and connection, and like they want to do this, right? So
So I'm looking at the time, and there are two things
I just realized it was
quickly. I know we're having a good time. It's okay. It's okay. So the first thing is, I want to transition us to talking about executive functions, because I know you have a special program this summer that some parents might be interested in. So I want to give you a chance to talk about that. And as a way into that, I just wanted to name that in that session you just talked about with the student who advocated for himself, you were working on the executive functions of planning, of time management, of self-regulation. So anyway, I just wanted to name, we are doing this
Thank
work, even
you.
if it doesn't look like academics. But what specifically are you doing this summer that parents might be interested in?
Yeah, thank you. I am actually, well, do you want me to share my screen?
Sure,
I think we
sure, show
talked
us.
about that, but let's see.
We believe in visuals in the
I
anti-porn
know,
world, right?
right? So it's an executive function skills summer program for tweens and teens who want a better start to their next school year. So if your students struggled with low test scores, missing or late assignments, just feels unhappy around school, bored, disorganized, low confidence, self-esteem, it's going to be 6 weeks. And so I have some parent meetings coming up, and there's no need to RSVP, although if you can, that'd be great. And Gretchen's going to give you the link to this document. These are the nights where I'm going to be just available for questions, but you can also email me, and my email will be down at the bottom of this. Or you can just directly go and register for one of the programs. I do have partial scholarships available. So if you feel like your kid would benefit from this, but $597 for the 6 weeks is not going to work in your budget, please don't say no to your kid, because I really want to make sure I'm supporting as many students as possible. And so there are 3 sessions, 2 sessions for middle schoolers and 1 session for high schoolers. These are all on Pacific time zone, but if you're on the East Coast, your students welcome. If you're in England, your students welcome because they're in the morning. So it should work for a variety of time zones. We're going to be having basically 60 to 90-minute sessions each week. And I say 60 to 90 because some kids may drop off at the end of the hour, and that other 30 minutes will be for us to connect and kind of practice and brainstorm. We'll be covering the different ways that students can really get prepared for next year with regards to anti-procrastination, empowering communication. We talked about self-advocacy, right? Understanding your brain. So we're gonna talk about the brain a little bit. And then what's really cool is because I am a licensed coach with Gretchen Wegner, every single one of my students will receive free access to the anti-boring approach to powerful studying, which we will also be using as part of the program this summer. If you have students who these schedules don't work and you want to compile your own group, kind of like a Tupperware party, but it's an executive function party, you can create your own group with me this summer. And you can schedule time to just talk to me using this link. So hopefully, I have here, we give a person a fish, they'll eat for a day. When we teach them how to fish, they eat for a lifetime. So I would love you to hire me to teach your children to fish, but more in the sense of really getting them into a happier place. You see these kids jumping for joy. That really does happen. It really does, as opposed to this. So I will definitely give the link to Gretchen. And I feel like, I've worked with a lot of kids one-on-one, but for most of my life, I've been a classroom teacher. And I love the dynamics that can happen between kids. I just am finishing next Monday a girls' voice empowerment program we did for 12 weeks. And it's just been so wonderful to watch these girls come out of their cave, nurture and support each other without fear of being judged or critiqued. So this is the kind of environment I want to create for kids this summer. They will be co-ed, and I say co-ed, but I just want to say like across the binary spectrum, any
Right.
kid in between.
Yeah.
So I want to put that out there and hope that I can I'd like to have a minimum of 6 kids per cohort. But I'm
There'll
not
be
going to
a lot
take
of
more than
personal,
12.
yes,
Yeah, I want it to be
personal.
personal. I want it to be enjoyable.
Great.
Yeah, so there you have it. I'm excited.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
have
usually
to-
do summertime work.
I
So,
know. Well,
yeah,
and so the last topic I wanted to address quickly,
yeah.
because we said it in passing, but I think it's important to rest in it for a moment. So I'm willing to have this video go longer so we can talk about this. You mentioned being on disability and your fibromyalgia. And I know that one of the conversations we had a lot more in the early days than we do now was like, what does a private practice look like that you energetically can do with the
Yeah.
limitations that you have because of your disability? And so I'd love to just hear you. Maybe we'll do this in the form of advice for other people who might be listening, who might be thinking about transitioning into coaching, but are concerned about their chronic physical issue and what you
Yeah.
would share with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Whew, I could feel it kind of go into my body. It's very emotional. I will say that because of a lot of work I've done, I have not used a cane or a walker in almost 3 years.
Wow.
And I've been self-employed for 2 of those 3 years. I think that says a lot about the self-employment piece. There's something about feeling liberated to really have the accountability and ownership in how I create my schedule. Um, I am a morning person, so one of my students I see at 8 in the morning because they don't start school till 9:30 on Mondays. Another student I was seeing at 7:15 in the morning because they live in Chicago and they were able to see me in a conference room in the school. So we arranged it with the learning specialist. So I think what's really important for me, and I don't have to deal with fragrances because I'm in my own home.
Right.
I love pets, but I don't have to have them at my feet because somebody else forgot to put their dog on their leash because at my old school, people had their dogs
Oh,
there. And so I think that the biggest challenge has been, and this is another reason to have this cohort, has been the effort that I was putting into marketing. I was working full time to build my business. I don't really have to do as much full time as I was because this cohort, we've been referring to each other. And it's so beautiful. And then we have the website where I can have my name there for people to discover. Um, so I think it's possible. The other thing I want to say with regards to my work, I've had to figure out a way to work part time on a full time salary.
yeah.
And so it is possible. I'm not 100% there yet, but I'm there. I'm getting there, and I'm so hopeful about it. And so I'm not sugarcoating anything for any of y'all thinking about this because there's nothing to sugarcoat. I have a sliding scale. So for my one-on-one clients, I have a sliding scale. And I basically say, this is my rate. This is the lowest I'll go because I know that with the lowest I go, it is taking care of me. But I can't give any lower than that if I don't have people who are here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tell my families, you get to choose where you go on this sliding scale. I don't need verification, but just know that you're helping students when you're up here in this range. You're helping students that otherwise wouldn't get my services or can only be down here.
Right.
And so what that allows is that, ironically, 4 of my 6 clients are in the upper range.
Mm-hmm.
So that allows me, one, to live the way I need to live with and be of service to these kids without melting down or having depletion because I'm exhausted and pain. But also I'm giving them really great attention. So they're really getting a private coach. They're, even it is one-to-one, but they're really getting me and all of me. Not that that can't happen with other people. I mean, there are people, coaches who have 16 clients and they can do that, but they don't have a disability, right? And so I think it's just really important to, as someone who might want to come in and have this as their next career, to identify what's your vision. How do you want your work days to look? How many work days? How many hours in a work day? Who are your contacts that can help support you? And Gretchen has a great new program, part of her coaching, that is with another person who kind of came in, that we're learning how to network in a way that's more simplified. But really, it's what is your vision? What is sustainable for you? And what's your support team
Yeah.
around you to help create that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And be realistic. There are days where I have told my clients, this is my condition. And every once in a while, I might have to reschedule.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a policy for them too. If they need to reschedule, this is, they have to do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's out in the open. And the ultimate goal is we all need to assume best intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And so the ultimate goal is that I get to have an income that works for me and my students get to have the services that they need.
I just realized one more thing to name. Through this whole time, you started your coaching business here here, meaning in the Bay Area. We're both in the Bay
Yeah.
Area of California. You transitioned to the East Coast to be with your partner and you lived there for a while. And then you both transitioned back here. So I just want to name the disability piece is very much there. And you had the flexibility to be able to follow your heart when a relationship opened up for you and keep you
Yeah.
going. And we just don't know. It might have also slowed down your process a little bit with the business in order to be navigating that. But you have this amazing relationship now as a result. And
Yeah.
take the time they take. But if we can come in with that clear vision, you knew right away, I need to have a business that supports my fibromyalgia, unlike
Yeah.
being in institutional schooling.
Yeah.
And
And I'm getting to I got to go to Washington State in April for my son's wedding.
Oh,
And I got to be fully present and participate. And the days leading up to it, I still met with my clients.
yeah.
And I'm going to Ireland in August for my cousin's wedding. And I'm bringing my business with me. I mean, being this remote thing is just amazing. I mean, I was ahead of the time. The pandemic was like, yeah,
Yeah.
take us home. So,
Oh,
I mean, the remote coaching, most of my students really thrive in it. They're so used to the technology, and I can work with students all over the country. I mean, one of my college students, she's from Washington, but she's been going to school in Madison and Wisconsin.
yes.
So, it's been great. I had students in
Right.
Oregon, I had students in Chicago. Like,
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it. I get to meet people from all over the place. So,
Well, I'm just so pleased that not only did my toolkit and my trainings help support you in being able to make this transition that is helping you live your fullest life, but also that you are bringing your fullness into the community and see it so valuable that you're staying on,
yeah.
you're being trained as one of the certified coaches and inside our inner circle. So I'm just really grateful to
Yeah.
have you
And
here.
I can I just speak to that real quickly? I know we're like going way over time. So I really need people to know, and Gretchen did not pay me to say this. In fact, I pay her. So because I'm still one of her clients, right? So there's several different components. There's the club, there's Launch Your Business, there's Rock Your Business, and then as a licensed coach, we have our own community. It used to be called the Inner Circle, but we don't like that anymore. So, and we didn't mention that we do social justice work. We all kind of did our diversity work and trying to get our mission statements to be encompassing and equity and accessible. And okay, anyways, people need to know that you're never alone in this cohort. There's an email group, there's a Facebook group, there are groups, trainings and meetings, and you can go to whatever you want and not go to whatever you want. There's recordings, there are people
You can
that you
even
can
come late,
email.
pop in for 15
Come
minutes.
late, leave early. I mean, just cry, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I have never, I feel so seen and heard in this community. And every week there's an opportunity to connect at least one person in the cohort. So I just want people to know that you don't have to build your business alone. And once you've built your business, you don't have to coach alone. Like you can get feedback. We talk about cases every week. Like, I have a student that I'm struggling with ABC. Any ideas that y'all have? Because all of us want to be better coaches every day, right?
It's
So
really inspiring to be a part of an educator community where everybody is actively and tenaciously growing their skill set over time and then
yeah,
sharing their new skills with the rest of us, isn't it? It's something I haven't
yeah.
experienced when I was in schools the way I experience now.
No, we're all in this together. Nobody's and the generosity. Nobody is feeling like if I tell people about you, then I won't have enough clients. No, no, we all share this world together. Yeah, it's beautiful.
It is.
So,
It is. And thank you
anyways,
for bringing your own beauty into the mix.
thank you. Thank you for
You.
inviting me too, and your beauty.
Check out the links below, everyone. If you're watching this video after Misha has done her executive function summer courses,
Programs, yeah.
programs, there we go, that's a better word. Where can they find more information about you?
I am on your trained coaches page, so they can definitely,
Right.
yeah. And I mean, of course, if they need help with their relationships, they can just email me or they can go to my website, which is mishasafran.com. But it's SAFRAN. The ON person does a lot of interesting artwork, but there's several of us here, and that's I think, a gender male at birth person. So I don't know.
Okay, so
But yeah,
SAFRAN, Misha Safran
Safran. Yeah,
.com.
Safran.com. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Yep. So thank
Great.
you.
Go check her out, everyone, and take care. Have a good day.
Okay. Bye.